Sexual health is a balance between safety and pleasure. All 5 of those principles are really tightly connected with safety. And then we get to pleasure. And now we're going to have a sexual health conversation. Notice how often we've talked about pleasure in the other principles. But pleasure is one of the principles. It's not hierarchical. It's not like you do all 5 of these and then the reward is pleasure. You can't talk about any of those principles without talking about pleasure. So it's not like you earn it. It's there all the time. It's just that it's a standalone principle too. I want people to feel comfortable talking about pleasure. If you walk in a room and the first thing you start talking about is pleasure, people are not going to be with you. Pleasure's a hard thing for people to talk about. It's complicated. It can activate shame. It can activate memories. It can, or just even judgments about what gives you pleasure. I mean, we have so many judgments about things that bring people sexual pleasure. And we live in a culture that has no compunction to not judge people for what gives them sexual pleasure. These 6 principles, if you're having some concerns about anything to do with sexual pleasure, then you get to organize that conversation through these other 5 principles. I got to be honest with you. I value this particular sexual pleasure. It's a new thing for me to value, but I want to talk about it. I don't want to exploit you to get that pleasure. It's consensual. Don't worry about that. It's a sexual activity that I've got to make sure a pregnancy doesn't happen. We got to figure that one out. I don't want to get an STI. What are we going to do? So you can see all of that's happening because of this pleasure is that important. But look at what you get to talk about. They're all connected. Because I believe what's missing in sexual health is people having a place they can start that they can succeed at, that's reasonable to succeed at, that's not too high of a bar, and yet will result in improving sexual health. It's not just empty behavior, and then you finally get some benefit from it later. Aligning with these principles will benefit your life in ways you will never imagine until you start aligning your life with them. They really do change how you live in this world as a sexual human being. And they're just the fundamentals.